Hello everyone, I'm Psychotic, and that's also my screen name. We are back with episode 42, shouldn't this be 43? 42 or 43 of our Season 2 playthrough of Medieval Dynasty. We are going to be selling off the other half of the flax today, and see if we can't make another 100 grand. I don't know if we're going to make a whole nother 100 grand, but we should be at least able to get half that. So we're going to see how that goes. We're going to scramble around and try to get some more things crafted, see if we can't get some more iron and some more of the other materials, and sell off the other half of the flax seeds along with anything else that we can collect along the way. So, if you learned anything useful today, or if you have a good time, please don't be afraid to drop a like. If you're feeling friendly, maybe go ahead and subscribe. But either way, let's go ahead and load in. Alrighty, here we are. So we are only halfway through summer. We will not be able to do any more sale run until the season change. So what we're going to try to do is get as much gathered as we possibly can. Oh, not too awful bad, man. I'm doing pretty well. I can't complain. Well, I can, but I shouldn't. I don't really have anything viable to complain about. Yeah, we're gonna try to get as much crap together as we can before season change so that we can run on a sale run for that other half of our flax seed and anything else that we can make along the way. We did not do an iron run yet, so we'll have to do that too to see if we can't get some more knives. We'll do what we can with the wool and the leather, and we will make ourselves some more of these here wines to sell as well. Apparently I left my horse in the food stall, so that's fun. So let's put this wine up for sale. You know, we could take some excess wine to sell as well. I wouldn't mind getting us some more clay, too. I think that's probably a good idea. Let's put our wine away for now, and let's go get that clay that's nearby. It's down by Danica. And then we will see about going on a mine run, and then possibly getting some of the clay up by Sambor. Because if we can get enough wine that they won't be able to sell it over the course of the year, then we can take it with us on our sale run and make for absolute certain that we are going to wipe out all of the villagers. I think, Stesso, that we are quickly coming up on the end of our playthrough. If we can maintain 50,000 an episode, then we're only looking at another 8 episodes, which is like 2 weeks. And then we will be millionaires. Well, if we can get at least 50 clay, that's another 10 wine. There it is. I think that's all of it, too. So it looks like we can get about 10 bottles out of this clay pit. And this is that one that we knew of because it's right by where our old village was in Season 1. I'm hoping that we can keep that kind of momentum up. Although we have been ramping up steadily, like it's not like we stagnated and then all of a sudden came back to life. I mean, we've been making a little bit more each season. Unfortunately, I think now we are more or less going to plateau. Alright, let's go get some iron. That'll get us some extra knives, and we can make some more vials. Vials are heavy. That's the only real reason I don't like carrying them. But they are nice because they give us something to clean out that last little bit of coin that everybody retains when you're selling big ticket items. Or the iron, rather. when we were right under the torch, that shade hit the back of my eyeballs just the wrong way. The best food is food you don't like, so you don't eat too much. That is probably fair. Although, depending on how involved I am in something, I often forget to eat. For instance, Friday, my boss had to send me to lunch because it was almost 1. And I did not realize that it was past noon because I was doing data entry and I was super focused. So I would have worked straight through lunch without even realizing it if he hadn't said something. Kind of like I do in game to Racemare. I am actually like that in real life. I will forget to eat for long stretches of time if I have a project that I'm very focused on. And I think some of that's a holdover from my early 20s when I was only eating 3 times a week for money reasons instead, but I think that holdover is... I ignore my stomach growling much easier than most people now. Wow, I forgot how weird the cave music was. Because we've had the music off for so long. I mean, basically 2 seasons since they were having all that copyright shenanigans. And I forgot that the ambiance in the cave was actually mildly disturbing. So you can hear like women crying and people singing, and it's super, super weird. We might be able to get it up to 65 if we drop them back down to 50 iron, which should be fine. I mean, 50 iron's plenty enough for them, and any tools that we might have to make in the interim. But for now, we will use what we've got here and make some knives for sale. Alright, so that'll give us a bunch of knives to sell. And we can go back home and work on, you know, realistically, we should have gone home before we did this, so that we could sleep through the night and burn the next day by doing this. So we're going to head home now, and then we'll make some hats and various other things, maybe some baskets, and some vials, and some shoes. And realistically, we could probably take... we have more than double the linen thread that we had last time. Sometimes this week. I noticed we have quite a bit of limestone too. We might be able to finish off the last of the houses over here. If that's the case, we might be able to do the last 2 houses on the other side as well. And then just grab a bunch of clay instead. Which would be kind of a sweet deal. Alright, let's just leave him in storage, because we're going to need to come after that anyway. Now, the real big question here... did I remember to set 2 fields to cabbage? I did. Okay, and are they good to go? They will be. Okay. So now how much... we'll check in the morning how much fertilizer we have for the next day. Or the next season. Because we are going to need 600 for our next season, and I'm not entirely sure that we have that much. This is going to be tight. Need animal feed? No, I think we're alright on animal feed. I'll double check. I know, I see the icon in the top left, but that's because I have babies that are out at animal care stations that don't have workers, so that they don't eat feed. Yeah, we've got almost 900 feed. We're fine. Also, hello. Well, we've got more than double our linen thread. Oh, no worries. Yeah, because we have over 400 this time around, so I'm thinking we can take some of that early, because I think we're going to have the same problem that we had at the end of last season, where we maxed out everybody to the point where we couldn't make any more money, even though we had more stuff to sell. So I'm worried that when that flax comes due at the end of spring, we are not going to be able to offload it all because of how much there is. So we might try to preempt some of that. We'll take like half of it, maybe 3/4, and sell it early. Okay, it looks like we're actually fine. It's just warning us about a bunch of stuff that we don't care about. The only thing that is a possible problem is the bowls. We've been ignoring the bowls for quite a while now, and it's probably still safe to do so, but I want to double check and make sure that the bowls aren't completely damaged to this point as to be unusable, because that could be a thing. It's been long enough that we've been ignoring them. So let's see what we have for potage in here before we get too excited. Oh no, no, they're fine. There's several hundred potage in here. They're fine. So we're just going to ignore the bowl outage as well. They'll catch back up with that once people start eating some stuff. It looks like there are 7 empty buckets that we will fill, so that we don't have a water shortage, because we don't have an extractor on the well right now. We have too many people that are pregnant. Alright, so let's see what we have for wooden vials before we go too gung-ho here. Yeah, we're down to 1,800, so we can definitely offload. We cleaned up our sticks some. We're going to go ahead and clean up our logs some now. We're up to 1,200. That is absurd. Okay, we'll take 120? 120 kilograms worth. That's going to take forever. It's about 250 is what we can carry if it's on us before Winnie starts to slow down to the point where it's not worth it. Aw, man. Not quite 50 planks. So we know 50 planks is 1,000 vials. So we might actually need to make more than one trip. I'm wondering what we're carrying that is heavy. Because we should be able to carry 50 logs just fine. We've done it before, multiple times. Alright, so let's see how we're doing now. We should have around 6,000, I think? Yeah. Yeah. Alright, our stones are starting to get up there again. So are our planks. Alright, we look like we're in pretty good shape. So let's go ahead and hit up some of the other areas for clay. So we know we found that new one up here that I didn't know about when we were on our last sale run. So let's hit that one up, and then we can cut across and dump it in storage here as we head over to Sambors, where we can get some additional clay over there. You know, it might actually be faster. I always wade straight across the river, and I think it might actually be faster to go to the island and then across. Because while there are 2 places that you have to cover that way, they are both much smaller than the big one. And since we walk so much slower... Wow, I hit that like right on the head, too. With our mark. Not bad for kind of winging it. Yep, there's the sirens again. Oh man, this clay field is huge. It's way bigger than I thought when we rode through it. Not that I'm complaining when we need it. Can build a fold, but just haven't. The fold is totally worth it, especially if you're to the Tailor Tier 2. If you're to the Tailor Tier 2, then you can use your flax in tandem with the fold to make hats, which are worth just astronomical amounts of money. I mean, here we are in the end game with the tech trees completely cleared, and we're still making hats. That was creepy. 2 rabbits just sitting there staring at me. So we've got like 325-ish by the time that we refine the manure that we have. We can always go and see if we can scare up some more manure. But we're going to need to buy quite a bit here, unfortunately. We spent too long with just 2 pigs with too many fields, is what happened. Because they wouldn't friggin' breed. Who's worse, rabbits or the knights who say knee? I feel like the knights who say knee are, not so much scary as they are entertaining. They're kind of harmless. Yeah. They're both good movies, and I absolutely adore The Holy Grail, but I feel like Life of Brian was actually better. And it's crazy to me how many people haven't actually seen it. Although some of their skits were absolutely riotously funny as well. Just in general as a troupe, those guys are pretty fucking funny. Like the complaint department skit, that one's fantastic too.
My wares never disappoint.
Or the oh hell. When they the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition. Those ones are great too. Oh. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Alright, we're good. It cost us some of the stuff that we were going to sell, but we're good. And that's alright, we have plenty enough logs that we can make more. When Dragon Age Inquisition came out, I had it on PS4, as did one of my, well, 2 of my friends. And we were playing the multiplayer. There were 4 of us total playing the multiplayer. And the friend whose house I was at, because we were, I was playing at their house because I didn't have decent internet. And he got up to go to the bathroom. And while he was gone, I switched the language on his game to Spanish. So when he came back, he said, "What the hell?" And I said, over voice chat where God and everybody could hear me, because nobody suspects the Spanish Inquisition. That has spawned so many fun jokes for me. The problem is, if they haven't actually seen it, then they don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you sound absolutely insane. But if they've seen it, it's friggin' hilarious. So, I guess let's go hunting. This 2 hours is not enough time to go all the way up by Sambor to get more clay. That's not going to be worth the effort. I think that British humor works by subverting social norms, but if you don't really know how things are supposed to work, it's hard to find the humor in it. That's part of it, but also British humor demands that you know things. It's very referential to history and to happenings in the world. So if you don't actually know much about what's going on, if all that you're aware of are whatever's, you know, trending on whatever television show you happen to watch anymore, you're not going to get it. But if you know about history, if you know about how things work science-wise, how things work socially, economically, then British humor is friggin' hilarious. And I won't say that it's people's intelligence, that you have to be smart for British humor. That's not it so much. Because I have met plenty of people that are highly intelligent that just don't know shit all that's actually useful. But I've also met some really stupid people that know quite a bit of things. So, I mean, I don't think it's so much the intelligence level. I think it's your basis of knowledge that you're drawing from. Because that was one of the biggest misconceptions that I think I have ever seen. Is I had a friend that I worked with that thought that all of the people that were super into sports were just dumb jocks. And I had to point out to him that while I don't agree or have their love for sports, that most of them are actually highly intelligent to be able to recite the stats that they can and come up with the ratios and know what they mean. The people that have memorized all of those things about popular sports characters, I mean, sure, they don't know the periodic table, and I do, but they could tell you, you know, what year so-and-so was a rookie in, and they couldn't tell you when D-Day was, but they could tell you what year so-and-so was a rookie and what his batting average was for that year. And so it's not that they're stupid, it's just that they have different areas of focus. And while admittedly probably less useful, it's not an intelligence issue. Although, to be fair, I can't think of a time outside of anecdotal and storytelling when knowing the date of D-Day is actually useful. But it is what it is. Knowing the periodic table, however, can save lives. If you know what you can mix with what to make what, then you can sometimes turn hazardous materials into not-so-hazardous materials. In a pinch. I don't recommend doing it regularly, but it is something that could actually become useful in the right situation. I think with American stand-up humor, it's more about the flashy, being loud and very animated. It's a much more physical humor than UK humor tends to be. UK humor tends to be a bit more cerebral. You have to pay attention and you have to think about what they're saying. Whereas with American humor, you can watch it in the background and still get, still get laughs in, by all means. But I think it's more about the volume and the silly faces and the overacting with American humor. Or at least US humor. I have to remember that, so, you know, Americans like to call, US people like to call themselves Americans, but technically Canadians and people in Mexico are also American. So, sometimes that's important to remember as well. Yay! Season change. Alright, nothing from the kid.
Hello.
Very nice, thank you. Here's your toy sword, kiddo. Off you get. Where's our wife? Oh, there she is. Okay, nothing from her. We are not picking these. We're going to let them handle this. But we are going to change over all of the fields to rye. And see what we've got for moms coming back. So we've got one here, Naradka. I don't remember what she was doing. And she's only got 3s. She has a bunch of 3s, but she's only got 3s. So I would really like to see what her husband does. He is a cook, so she is production. So what do we... Okay. There is something in the northeast that seems more European than Europe itself. Like a lot of things changed here after the 2 world wars, but remained in places in the US that are more similar. Maybe. I don't know, it's hard to say. You would need somebody that has lived for an extended period of time in both regions to really get a feel for that. Because while I have read a lot of European authors, and I have spoken to a lot of European people on the internet, I have not lived a daily life there. So I have an idea of what goes on there, but it may or may not be accurate. And I imagine the same is very much true in the other direction for people that have not lived in the US. Especially because our television is an absolutely terrible indicator of how most of the people in the US actually live.
Let me show you my ware.
How are you? Only the best
I did already hit her up. Okay. So yeah, it's really hard to compare countries. I mean, I know there are people Like, I had a friend in college that was born in Germany and lived the first 15 years of her life there, and then moved to the US and spent the rest of her life here. So I imagine she would have a fairly good grasp, at least on the Germany region. But also, Europe is a very diverse place, just like the US is a very diverse place. I mean, from state to state, you have things that, on the whole, things that are socially acceptable everywhere, things that are legal everywhere because of the federal government. But there are social niceties that change from state to state, and sometimes even city to city, or even district to district.
I've been a vendor.
So I know when I lived in St. Louis, there were things that would fly on the east side just fine that you did not do in downtown. Well, not if you expected to walk back out. So that's kind of hard too, and I imagine essentially the US is more similar to the EU in that, as opposed to, you know, saying Germany or England or, well, I guess England's not Texas. Is England still part of the EU? I think so. But it's very much the same in, like, it's one overarching government, but there is some autonomy amongst the smaller parts. I thought they left. I thought there was a big to-do about that. I wasn't sure, though. Damn it. I accidentally bought a bow.
Dude, it was nice seeing.
But I mean, Europe's got a bunch of fairly small countries that are scattered through there, and all of them have their own sort of mini-culture in amongst the greater culture, and the US is kind of similar in that way. All of the states are basically like mini-countries that all come under one big global head with a global set of laws and rules, but with autonomy outside of that. I mean, to the point where, while it's not a different language, they still speak English. There are so many different accents, and I've noticed that some people from different areas have a very difficult time understanding people from other areas if they're not familiar with their particular accent. So while it's not really a different language, it's pretty close. And turns of phrase are a little bit different. Some of the things that people say and may have entirely different meanings. Like, for instance, when I lived in Arizona, if you referred to your old man, you were talking about your dad. And then when I lived in Colorado, if you referred to your old man, you were talking about your husband. So you could give people the very wrong idea if you weren't careful. You speak Okie. Hey, James. Same in Georgia, yeah.
How are you?
Like, that's a thing that I think, particularly people that aren't born and raised in the U.S. don't understand those particular nuances, the same as I'm sure we don't understand particular nuances of people born in Europe, or Asia, or Africa, or I'm sure that exists everywhere to some form or another. And Daddy ain't your daddy. It's like a couple of different... Yeah, it is, basically. Kunas is essentially a pigeon, as is most of the Cajun. It's a mixture of French, English, and some... There was a third one, and I don't remember what it is. But it's basically a pigeon of the three. I live in Albany, and we speak household. Okay. Yeah. No, you're right, James. You are absolutely right. The strange thing about European countries is that you may live 50 kilometers from another country, but all you know about them is filtered through English language news sources written for Americans. That's fair. And most of that's not even trustworthy. They're They're after whatever gets them views. They don't give two shits about whether it's right or not. Alright, so here's the real test. We're headed down to Hornica. So Hornica is either going to wipe us out or we're going to make the run on the entire valley. But we did break 650. So I'm hoping that we have enough that we can break 660. Because that'll put us at around 50,000.
Welcome. Let me show you my way.
How many fields you'd have to produce enough flax to only sell seeds every season and take all their money? Honestly, the 6 fields gave us 2 seasons worth, but we also had high value money items, so excuse me. So I'm not entirely sure. I would say probably around 10 would do it if you just wanted to rely on flax seeds and nothing else.
Well, trade is in
But you
my-
could also make caps out of... Yeah, we still have seeds left over. Still. Almost enough to plant an entire another round. Yeah, actually more than enough to plant. We have enough to plant another 9 fields. We're not going to have all of the well, we might have all of the seeds sold by the end of by the beginning of next summer. But it's going to be it's going to be close, and they almost lasted us the whole year. And the sad part is we have several workers that are out right now. So I think we might actually be able to spike even higher. Although at this point there's no point in spiking higher if we're cleaning out the valley consistently. So this is 2 seasons in a row that we've completely wiped out the valley. Yeah, they could sell those at the market stall, I suppose. But you'd also need at least 2 fields for food. Well, no, I guess you wouldn't. You could use, like we do. Just make potage. But you'd have to have a hunter. Yep, 4,700. Oh, we are 700 coins shy of 670,000. That's... wow. Just wow. I think you might be onto something, Alex. It might actually be worth our time to put up some extra fields. The problem is I want to keep the villagers self-sufficient so that we don't have to run stuff ourselves. So we're going to have people on wood. We're going to have people on... We're going to have people on a couple of different things. We're still going to have some in the mine, just not as many. And we're going to have some people... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to make that work the best way. Let me think about that. Let me ponder that for a little bit. We might be able to... You might have actually come up with something pretty solid. And we are stuck. So it's 10 sticks and 10 feathers. And it makes... I'm assuming it makes 10. And they're worth 7 coins apiece. So you're talking 70 coins... for 10 sticks and 10 feathers. So our way, we are making 5 coins per stick, so that would be worth 50 coins. And then our feathers, we discovered the most efficient way to do those was to sell them by default, so that's 30. So we would actually be making 80 coins by selling the feathers on their own and selling the sticks as baskets, as opposed to the 70 coins possible by making wooden bolts. I think 8 more villagers can plant enough flax to get all the money if you harvest it yourself every year. probably. The question is, are we going to be able to swing harvesting it ourselves every year? Eight more, huh? Well, now the question is, where do we want to put them? Although I suppose we could put some houses out where we had our Season 1 village down here. And we could do several fields down here with just a house by each field like we do with our little 4-block. Only 4 blocks of fields. And we could actually add... Gustovia. We could actually add, rather than putting another... what you call it here? Orchard. We could put another field. That's got some merit. That's got some merit. Let's, and now's a really good time to start said field. We're not going to be able to plant it this season, but that's fine. They'll at least get it ready to go for when flax season rolls around. The problem is all the rye that we're going to have is still going to be a pain in the ass to work with. We could skip rye season, but I feel like skipping rye season is wasting a season on your field. I really do. Alright, we will pick up with that in the next episode on Monday. Because it is that time of the night, guys. But we are going to try to expand our fields out that way. And we are going to try to work in Alex's idea and see if we can spend a little bit less time with our other maintenance-ish issues and see if we can't make enough just off of flax seeds and selling their excess over the course of the year. I think he's onto something there. And I think we can probably do it with a little bit less manpower. I want to keep everything automated. I want to make sure that we have enough manure to cover the fields so that we don't have to buy any again. I also want to make sure that they have enough iron coming in and production to make their tools so that we don't have to stop and do that. And that they have enough wood for firewood and enough food. But I think Alex is onto something here, and we're gonna tinker with it. We're not gonna change what we have right now until we're sure it's gonna work. But we are going to try it, because I think his idea has merit. Have a great evening, and thanks for your help with everything, all of you guys. Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by and saying hey. We really appreciate it. But it is that time of the night, guys, so we are going to go ahead and stop here for the night. If you learned anything useful today or had a good time, please don't be afraid to drop a like. If you're feeling friendly, maybe go ahead and subscribe. But either way, have a fantastic rest of your night. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you next time.